If someone you loved called your name from the darkness, would you answer? Most people would, according to generations of stories. That's exactly what you should never do. They don't always hunt with claws. They don't always reveal themselves. Sometimes, they simply wait for you to come closer. A familiar voice, footsteps that change from 4 legs to 2, something standing silently at the edge of the trees, watching, waiting. Across the American Southwest, and increasingly far beyond it, people have reported encounters they still struggle to explain. Before we begin, it's important to understand what a skinwalker is. The legend comes from Navajo tradition, where a skinwalker, known as a Yi-Naldlushi, is believed to be a person who has embraced forbidden practices in exchange for supernatural abilities. Unlike many creatures found in folklore, a skinwalker is not traditionally described as a monster living deep within the wilderness. According to the legend, it begins as a person. Because these beliefs are considered deeply sacred, many Navajo people avoid discussing the subject publicly. Tonight's stories are not presented as proof. They are eyewitness accounts from people who experienced something they still cannot explain. Encounter 1. The voices in the woods. The first witness says they spent years trying to convince themselves nothing unusual had happened. Even now, they still search for a logical explanation. The experience took place during the summer of 2025. 4 longtime friends planned a 6-day camping trip into a remote section of the mountains of northwestern North Carolina. The location had no cell service, very few hiking trails, and almost no chance of seeing another person. It was exactly the kind of place they were looking for. The first 2 days passed without incident. They spent their mornings hiking through the mountains, their afternoons fishing nearby streams, and their evenings gathered around a campfire telling stories beneath a sky filled with stars. The forest was peaceful, quiet, exactly what they expected. Everything changed on the 3rd evening. The group had just finished eating dinner when one of the friends suddenly stopped talking. He stared toward the tree line, then quietly asked, "Did anyone else hear that?" The conversation ended immediately. Everyone listened. At first, nothing. Then came the unmistakable sound of something moving through the woods. Slowly, branches cracked, leaves shifted. One of the campers picked up a flashlight and swept the beam toward the sound. For several seconds, there was nothing. Then, the light stopped, standing roughly 40 feet beyond the fire. Between 2 trees was what appeared to be a deer. No one spoke. The animal wasn't eating, wasn't running, it wasn't frightened. It simply stood there, watching them. The witness remembers feeling uneasy almost immediately. Something about the deer seemed wrong. It appeared unusually thin. Its body looked almost unnatural beneath the flashlight. Its head remained tilted slightly to one side, as though it were studying every movement around the fire. Then another detail caught everyone's attention. A foul odor drifted into the campsite. The witness described it as the overwhelming smell of something dead. The smell became stronger with every passing second, without making a sound. The deer slowly stepped sideways. Its movements appeared stiff, almost awkward, like each step required conscious effort. It never looked away from the campers. Then, without warning, it disappeared into the darkness. Moments later, the smell disappeared too. No one felt like talking anymore. The mood around the fire had completely changed. Eventually, one by one, everyone climbed into their tents. No one realized the night was only beginning. Hours later, the witness suddenly woke. At first, they couldn't explain why. The forest had become completely silent. No wind, no insects, no distant sounds, just silence. Then, footsteps. Slow, measured footsteps circling the campsite. The witness assumed someone from the group had stepped outside, but something didn't feel right. The footsteps weren't wandering. They were moving with purpose. One slow circle around the tents, then another. Then, a voice. Quiet enough that it almost sounded like a whisper. It called the witness by name. The voice sounded exactly like one of their friends. Not similar, not close, exactly the same. It wasn't shouting. It wasn't panicked. It simply spoke their name, as though asking them to come outside. For a brief moment, the witness actually considered answering. Then they remembered. Everyone had gone to sleep hours earlier. Slowly, they unzipped the tent just enough to look toward the dying campfire. Nothing. Every tent remained closed. No flashlights, no movement. No one was outside. Then the footsteps began again. This time, they stopped directly beside the tent. The witness held their breath. Only a thin layer of fabric separated them from whatever stood outside. Then came the breathing. Heavy, slow, deliberate. Close enough to hear every inhale. Close enough to know it wasn't imagination. The witness didn't move. They didn't speak. They simply listened. Several long seconds passed. Then something else returned. That same overwhelming smell. Rotting flesh. It seemed even stronger than before. The witness pressed farther into the corner of the tent, certain that if they made even the smallest sound, whatever stood outside would know exactly where they were. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the footsteps began moving again. They slowly circled another tent, paused, then disappeared into the darkness beyond the trees. No one slept after that. When daylight finally arrived, the witness stepped outside expecting everyone to laugh about the strange night. Instead, one of the others quietly asked, "Did somebody call your name last night?" The campsite fell silent. Another camper nodded. So did mine. One by one, every member of the group admitted hearing the voice. Each of them believed it had been one of their friends. None of them had left their tents. The group searched the edge of the clearing before packing their gear. Near the tree line, they discovered a trail of unusual footprints. The witness described them as almost human, but strangely elongated. Long, narrow, unlike any animal track they had ever seen. Even stranger, the prints circled every tent, then disappeared into the forest. There were no tracks leading into camp, only tracks leading away. The group packed everything within the hour. Their 6-day trip ended after only 3 nights. Years later, they still disagree about what stood among those trees, but every one of them remembers hearing someone calling their name from the darkness. If that had been the only report of voices calling from the woods, it would be easy to dismiss, but it wasn't. Hundreds of miles away, another witness described something disturbingly similar, except this time, whatever was following them didn't stop with a single voice. Encounter 2, can I borrow your lighter? The second witness said she was 17 years old when the experience happened. She and 2 close friends had spent the evening exploring a wooded area outside Boston. It wasn't unusual. They had been there many times before. Around 3 o'clock that morning, The group decided it was time to head back toward the parking lot. The trail was dark, but familiar. At first, everything seemed normal. Then one of them noticed footsteps moving through the woods beside the trail, not behind them, not in front of them, keeping pace beside them. The witness assumed it was a deer until she listened more carefully. The footsteps came in groups of 4. Then, without warning, they changed. 4 footsteps became 2. Slow, heavy, intentional, as though whatever had been walking on all 4s had suddenly stood upright. The group stopped walking. The footsteps stopped too. No one spoke. After several uncomfortable seconds, they started walking again. The footsteps returned immediately, always matching their pace, always hidden behind the trees. Then, a voice drifted from the darkness. "Can I borrow your lighter?" The witness froze. The voice sounded human, almost, but something about it felt off. The words lacked emotion, almost like someone repeating a sentence they had heard, without understanding how people actually speak. None of them answered. A few seconds later, the voice came again, closer this time. "Can I borrow your lighter?" The 3 friends began walking faster. So did the footsteps. Branches snapped somewhere just beyond the trees. Again, the voice repeated the exact same sentence. "Can I borrow your lighter?" This time, there was no mistaking it. Whatever was speaking was following them. The witness says every instinct told her not to look back. But as they reached the parking lot, she couldn't help herself. She turned toward the trail one last time. Standing perfectly still at the edge of the woods was what appeared to be a deer. Except, it wasn't standing on 4 legs. It was upright, balanced on its hind legs. Its front legs hung unnaturally at its sides. It didn't move. It didn't run. It simply stared at them. No one said a word. The 3 friends rushed into the car. The witness remembers locking the doors before anyone had even started the engine. They left the area without looking back. Years later, she still remembers that voice, not because of what it said, but because of how wrong it sounded. Almost human, but not quite. And for many people, stories like these remain nothing more than campfire tales, until they become personal. Our final witness wasn't searching for legends. He wasn't exploring abandoned buildings. He wasn't investigating strange reports. He was simply looking for a place to spend the night. Counterfuri. 3. The hotel outside Holbrook. The final witness had spent the day driving across northern Arizona after visiting family. Night fell quickly. The highways became quieter with every passing mile. By the time he reached the small town of Holbrook, he decided he was too tired to continue driving. A small roadside motel seemed like the perfect place to stop until morning. He parked his truck, collected his overnight bag, and started walking toward his room. The parking lot was almost completely empty. The air felt strangely still. No insects, no traffic, only silence. Halfway across the lot, a deafening roar shattered the night. The witness stopped immediately. The sound hadn't echoed across the desert. It came from nearby. Slowly, he turned around. Near the edge of the parking lot, standing just beyond the glow of a single light, was a massive figure. The witness estimated it stood nearly 7 feet tall. Its build was lean, but powerfully muscular. Its head resembled that of a wolf. Its eyes reflected brightly in the darkness. For several seconds, Neither of them moved. The witness says the creature simply watched him. Then, it took one slow step forward. That was enough. He dropped his bag and sprinted toward his motel room. He slammed the door shut, locked every lock, then pushed a chair beneath the handle. For several minutes, he heard nothing. Then, another roar, closer than before. The witness refused to look through the curtains. Instead, he spent the remainder of the night awake. Every sound outside made him tense. Every passing minute felt like an hour. Morning finally arrived. As he loaded his truck, an older local man noticed he looked exhausted. When the witness explained what had happened, the man listened quietly, then simply nodded. His only response was, "Usually they don't mess with white people." The witness didn't know what to say. He climbed into his truck, left Holbrook behind, and has never spent another night alone in that part of Arizona. Even today, he believes something was waiting for him in that parking lot, something he cannot explain. Whether skinwalkers exist, no one can say with certainty. But the people who shared these stories all describe something remarkably similar. A voice that shouldn't have been there. Animals behaving in impossible ways. An overwhelming feeling that something intelligent was watching them. Perhaps these were only misunderstandings. Perhaps fear filled in the gaps. Or perhaps some legends survive for generations because someone experienced something they could never explain. Whatever the truth may be, stories like these continue to be shared across the American Southwest and far beyond it. The next time you find yourself alone, deep in the woods, and someone calls your name, make sure you know who's calling. If you've experienced something you can't explain, leave your story in the comments below. Your encounter could be featured in a future investigation. Until next time, stay curious, stay alert, and remember, some things are better left beyond the UmberaVeil.